Hi, everybody. I hope that you can hear me, Be'ezras Hashem. Anyone, let me know if you can or can't hear me. I just want to make sure that everyone can hear. I'm just going to open the chat here, make sure everyone can hear. Just someone who's on, let me know if you can hear me okay. Just let me know that, and then I will start waiting for just to hear. Can you hear okay? Yes? Yes. Okay, amazing. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so Rav Asher Freund asked the question, what was David HaMelech's mistake? If David HaMelech made a mistake, only Rav Asher Freund can say such a thing. He said David HaMelech's mistake was that he thought that you could achieve fear of Hashem, Pachad Elokim, that you could achieve Yiras Shomayim in a direct way without needing any intermediary from this world. And he thought that he didn't need any kind of motivation from this world in a natural sense. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed David HaMelech that there is no other way. Only to hold always onto some aspect of fear from this world in a natural way, and then you can transfer it, you can elevate it so that it becomes fear of Hashem and awe of Hashem. This is so important for us to understand in our times. And at this point in history, we've been witness to such terrifying times over the last couple of years. And the truth is, when we think about Jewish history, the whole of Jewish history is terrifying. Okay, Baruch Hashem, we have all of the Yom Tovim where we celebrate being saved from our enemies, but there were many, many tragedies along the way. Many people were lost along the way towards these incredible miracles that took place. And there's so much fearful history that Klal Yisrael has gone through, and especially over the last couple of years, the fear and the terror of what happens in a natural sense. And so we're all asking, why do we have to go through this? And here's one answer. It's certainly not the whole answer. It's not for me to think that we could certainly give a whole answer. And yet this is certainly part of it, is that if we thought that we had reached a certain level in Yiras Shomayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to show us there is so much more, such a deeper level of awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you can achieve. And in order to show you that, I'm going to show you a fear so deep that you couldn't even imagine such a fear, in order that you can take that new fear that you've now discovered that exists within you and turn that up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's our job. That's our mission. I was just vacationing with family in Tveria. I just actually walked into my house about an hour ago, Baruch Hashem. And we did, let's call it some kind of extreme sport, is what I'll say. But my body has been aching for 2 days at this point. I still have some muscles that are a bit tough. And whenever you do some kind of sport that you haven't done in a long time, or exercise in some kind of way, you discover a new muscle. This is an analogy that I've often brought, but while it's actually fresh in my body, it's always nice to remember that we get reminded of muscles that we didn't know we had when we do some kind of new or extreme kind of exercise. And so we may have become accustomed to the level of fear that we fear on a regular basis. And we may have been able to already raise. Hi, great to see your face. Everybody who comes over, I love to see you. Thank you so much. We may already have been able to raise the level of fear that we have within us and turn that up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in some way. And Hashem is saying, there's more. There's a deeper level of awe and fear that you can raise up to Hashem. And this Rav Asher is telling us, you can do this. You can raise your level of awareness, of awe, up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu even more. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, one second, let me just, here. Okay. So And this week's Parsha, Parshas Ekev, it's asked, and again, Rabasha brings down here, Va'ata Yisrael, ma Hashem Elokecha shoel mimcha, ki im leyira es Hashem Elokecha, l'toiv lecha. And now, Yisrael, what does Hashem, your God, ask from you? But to fear Him, to fear Hashem Elokecha, to fear Hashem, your God, l'toiv lecha, for the good for you. The old eggs are hard enough. What about new ones? Yes, it's true. Maybe the new ones come to then arouse us also with the old ones and also with the new ones. Okay, even if we haven't got the old ones, right? The old fears, she said, yeah, I agree with you. We didn't even process the old ones. But now Hashem is saying, you know what? You can do this. There's more awe of Hashem that you can get. And here the pasuk says, Rabasha brings down, what does Hashem ask from you? What does Hashem want? He wants you to fear Him. It's good for you. It's good for you. We're not used to talking about Yiras Hashem. I mean, I'm not used to talking so much about Yiras Hashem. I'm always usually talking about Avas Hashem and Hashem's love for us, Hashem's unconditional love for us. And certainly, we ask in the tefillah of the Shloha Kodesh. He says that we ask that our children should serve Hashem from Ava, Pinimis, and not Yireh Chitzaynis, not an external kind of fear, not out of fear of punishment, but out of an internal love. We want to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu out of love. And yet, it's brought down that at the end of days, that the highest level is going to be a level of awe of Hashem. And so we're going to hopefully talk today about Yiras Hashem in a way that will hopefully help us come out with something that we can adapt, something that we can adopt for ourselves. And we're not talking about Yireh Chitzaynis. What is Yireh Chitzaynis? Is just fear of a patch. Okay, a patch. No one wants a patch. We definitely don't want a patch, but we don't want to live our lives in fear of punishment. We don't want to live our lives in fear of. One second, I can't answer that. Your call now. I am so sorry. We cannot answer. We can't live our lives in fear of the terror of what the nations of the world want to do to us. We don't want to live our lives in fear. We want to live our lives out of love. And so, how to make Yiras Shomayim, how to make awe of Hashem a motivation, is what we're going to be hopefully talking about today. Okay. So. Hashem wants us to fear Him. What is Yiras Hashem then? He says there are two levels of Yiras Hashem. There's Yiras Ha'onesh and Yiras Ha'roimamus. Yiras Ha'onesh is chitzonius, is the external fear of punishment that the Shloha Kodesh asked, that he doesn't want his children and his generations to serve Hashem out of that external lower level. But Yiras Ha'roimamus, that's the year that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Hashem desires, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the Shloha Kodesh desired, and that Hashem wants. Yireh Pshuta, simple fear, is fear of a punishment, that a person is scared of what Hashem could bring upon him, whether in this world or in the next world, for an Aveira or a mitzvah. But above that is a level called Yiras Ha'roimamus, an awe of Hashem. That a person, I'm going to give you the Lashon Kodesh of Rav Asher, and then we'll translate it into English. Yarei me hadar roimamusai yisbarach. He is in awe of the glorious loftiness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is lemala mikol musik, that is above any conception that we could possibly grasp. It's above any grasp that we have. It's an awesome. This Yiras Ha'roimamus is an experience of the awe of that which is a HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is way beyond our capacity to grasp. That's the experience of Yiras Shomayim. And that's why when we experience that feeling of there is something. There is this being, there is this cause, there is this one who is so beyond anything that I can grasp. And it's beyond the intellect that I can grasp. It's beyond the intellects of all of us that we can grasp. It's deeper than the deepest concept that ever was created. It is more mysterious than anything that we can ever grasp or try and imagine. It is beyond our capacity to imagine, as the Rambam says in the 13 statements of belief, that lo yasigu masigia guf, that no physical conception could grasp HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we experience some kind of interface with this one, whether it's a moment of awesome hashgacha pratis, or it's a moment of awesome knowing that Hashem understands and sees us. I remember one of a participant in one of my courses years ago. She said that she needed a certain notebook, and she didn't know where it was. And she was looking all around her house for this certain notebook. She couldn't find it. And then she said, Hashem, I need this notebook. She opened the drawer and the notebook was right there. And then she said she got such a pachad. She said she was gripped by this awesome fear that, oh my gosh, I just said those words and now I found this notebook. Like it's real. Okay, those moments that we have where we experience this is real. We don't always get our tefillahs answered right away. No one could say that every single prayer that they asked even was answered within 20 years. We certainly have had prayers that maybe we've asked for more than 20 years that still were not answered in the way that we wanted. Maybe we did get some kind of answer, but no one could say that we always got a direct communication. So those moments are relatively, compared to our daily lives, are relatively rare experiences. Of course, if we live on a level where we're continually experiencing Hashem's communication daily, Baruch Hashem, and wonderful, okay? But those moments are the kinds of moments where we are brought into a world where, yeah, there is a Ribono Shel Olam. There's a Ribono Shel Olam who's watching, who's hearing, who's listening, who's interacting, who's keeping track of me and my life, who knows my thoughts, who knows what I'm thinking, who knows what I'm saying, who's tuned into my life and knows everything. That's a different midah than Ahavas Hashem. So, and it's a totally different midah than Yiras Shomayim. It doesn't come from pain necessarily. Okay, it's not that it comes from suffering necessarily, but it's a different level, but it's still related. The fear of punishment is related to the fear of we don't want to get a patch. We don't want to have the pain. We don't want to have something hard that hurts. Yiras Shomayim is this the awesome glory, the awesome power, the awesomeness behind this all, behind everything that goes on, from the cosmos down to the tiniest parts of the atom. Right? We know that there are electrical pulses inside every single atom keeping everything going. So even a rotten piece of wood is still alive in some way because it still has the electrical pulses are still happening inside that atom. It's been kept alive by the force of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as much as science can see the atom, they cannot create an atom with its electrical pulses going within it. They cannot create the actual block of life. They can manipulate them, but they cannot create them. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu's creative force is in everything. And when we, the Rambam says that the only way to achieve this Yiras Shomayim is through his boinaness, is through looking into what this could mean, into looking, into thinking about it and meditating about it, and allowing our mind to dwell on what this Yiras Shomayim could be. I mean, on what this Hashem is, on what Hashem is. Think about it. Think about what it means to have a Ribono Shel Olam who listens to the tefillos of every one of Klal Yisrael at the same time, and at the same time, every single atom in everything is being kept alive and going by that one Ribono Shel Olam. And he knows intimately our thoughts and our feelings, and is constructing our life plan, knowing everything that ever happened to us and everything that happened to our Bobbies and Zadies and all of the families going back in history back through, in order that we can fulfill all the tikkunim that needed to be finished, and knows exactly the trajectory of our lives and all of the generations that are going to come to us until Mashiach comes, and knows all of that, and all of it is thought out, and all of it is planned. The more that we allow ourselves to think about this and dwell on this, those are moments of Yiras Shomayim. Those are moments that fill us with awe, and it's an experience. It's an experience of this. I had one of those moments. Again, I'm reading from the chat. Thank you for sharing this. I had one of those moments. I wanted to get something where I was feeling so frustrated at that exact moment. And my husband told me that he had to go to a certain neighborhood and he could take me. I went. I wanted to get somewhere. Okay, I wanted to get somewhere. And I was feeling so frustrated the exact moment my husband told me that he had to go to that exact neighborhood and he could take me. And I went and I was thinking, wow, Hashem created the need just for me. And then after I arrived, he called me and told me that he went for nothing because what he went for wasn't working out. And then he said, Hashem wanted you to get to that place. So you even had that feedback that Hashem had guided that whole thing just for you to get there. Exactly. That's exactly the kind of moment that we're talking about. Yeah, it's beautiful and awesome. And our whole lives are those moments. We don't always feel them. And sometimes we feel that, how could it be? How could it be that? But all of these moments of weird hashgacha and things that happen, Hashem plans this whole thing. I had a situation. I mean, I have these crazy kind of situations, but I was beginning, and I'll tell you the story just because it's so oddball and just so, again, a similar kind of thing. But I was starting a new series in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and it was actually the first live series that I'd given in a few years because I'd mostly been giving things online, and I was really excited about giving this live series. And I checked into my arrangements for getting there. As it turned out, I was going to be getting a certain bus, and I scheduled this bus, and I was going to be there in plenty of time. And I was at the bus stop, and someone passed by and offered me a ride to Beit Shemesh. So I said, great, I'll get a ride. Okay, first mistake. So I got into the car, and we're on the way. It's a very nice person who I know, and so as we're heading out, so she said to me, I'm not going to the new Beit Shemesh, I'm going to the old Beit Shemesh. So I said, okay, I'm sure I'll be able to, I'm sure I'll be able to get there. Second mistake, right? I should have just got off at that moment and said, I really should get the bus, but I didn't. So she got to the old Beit Shemesh, which is probably, it was a 15-minute drive from the new Beit Shemesh where I needed to be for my class. Now, the bus that I needed to get actually stops a 2-minute walk from where I needed to be. And I ended up being a 50-minute walk in the middle of nowhere. And I had, no, a 50-minute drive. And now I'm 15 minutes away from the time we're supposed to start. It's a brand new series. And I'm like, okay, Kodesh Baruch Hu, you use my mistakes to show me your hashgacha. I know you do. I know it. Multiple times Hashem has shown me that it's not when I think I'm doing my best that Hashem shows me is with me. It's when I think that I'm making when I make a big mess of things, Hashem is with me the most. So here I am in the middle of nowhere. There's not even a bus stop nearby, and I've got all my stuff, and I'm just in the middle of nowhere. And so I'm looking at my watch. I don't even know how long it's going to take me to get to this new place. And I'm prepared to be very embarrassed. No taxis are going to come. I don't know when taxis are going to come out. All of it, I started looking in cars going by to see if there was maybe a female. Anyway, there seems to be one lady in a car. Kind of put my hand out, and she drew over next to me. She said, yes. I said, I need to get to a certain place. She said, just get in the car. I said, but she said, just get in the car. Okay, so I just got in the car, and she said, what do you need? So I told her something. She said, well, I don't know where that is, but let's put it in Waze. So she put it in her Waze, in her phone, and she said, I said, but that's taking you out of your way. She said, Oh, don't worry about that. I'll take you there. I said, no, but really, let me pay her. No, 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 no. She wouldn't let me pay her. She just moved to Beit Shemesh about 2 years ago. She was from Iran, an Iranian Jew. I was fascinated. She told me some of her history and how she left Iran. She took me from that place in the middle of nowhere to the door I needed to be at. I entered as if I had completely planned to be there at that time and place. I didn't have to tell anybody about my mess up. But Hashem was laughing with me all the way and saying, see, I can get you there from anywhere in the universe. I can get you there on time. So it doesn't matter what we do. We can make the biggest mistake sometime, and Kodesh Baruch is going to make it all better. And sometimes we can try everything to make it right, and it won't work the way that we think. And Hashem has got a better plan. We plan, but Hashem always has a better plan. So when we have those kinds of moments, it's about recognizing, yes, Hashem runs this entire world. Hashem brought that wonderful lady who was from Iran. She brought her to the right place for me, and she picked me up. And as I got out, I couldn't stop thanking her. And she said, you would do the same for me. And I said to myself, you know what? I hope I would. I really hope I would do the same thing for her. I don't know if I could say that. I don't know if I could. Hashem always watches over us and provides for us. Yes, amen. Amen, he does. And sometimes things are painful. And at those times, and sometimes they're fearful. Okay, sometimes they're downright frightening. And this is what Rav Asher is telling us, that even when things are frightening, part of the message, and again, I'm not going to claim to have the answer to everything that we've all been going through over the last couple of years or throughout Jewish history. But what Rav Asher is telling us is that you cannot get to Yiras Hashem if we don't go through some kind of fear of natural things in this world. And the only way to get to a higher level of fear of Hashem is to fear something in this world and then elevate it to fear of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, just 1 second. Rav Asher brought down a beautiful thing from the Sfas Emes that I just want to find in here and I want to share. So hold on 1 second. Where is it? I'm sorry that I didn't have this place marked. I so wanted to show what he said. Where is it? Also, though sometimes when the people we need to interact with who aren't cooperative, it's hard to remember it's from Hashem. That's true. Um, in fact, when a natural disaster happens, it's much easier to heal from a natural disaster, even if the results could be tragic and difficult, than it is to heal from a trauma that we feel comes from a person. When we feel that our trauma is from a person, it's much harder to heal. And that's research based. And it's so very interesting. If we take it out of a person and we put it back into Hashem's hands, that everything is from Hashem, maybe that might make it easier to heal. Meaning when we realize that the world is not Hefka, the world is not the Wild West. No one can do anything unless the Kodesh Baruch has decided that it's absolutely the best thing for our neshama and for the tikkun of the souls and what we're here for. Okay. Again, I apologize because I really want to share this thing from what he said from the Sfas Emes, and I'm trying to remember where I saw it in the Sefer here, but is this where I saw it? His Lashon was so beautiful that I do not want to say it without reading it. I remembered part of it, but the Lashon of the Sfas Emes is absolutely incredible, beautiful. And here you see, this is how Hashem uses my my total human frailty of I thought that I'd marked the spot where I hadn't, to show me that he can get me here on time and I can still mess up. So excuse me a second while I just show how much I could mess up in real time. Because the Lashon of the Sfas Emes is so beautiful and it's worth waiting for. This is Sfas Emes. Yes, I'm giving a recorded class here right now. I'm recording here. I'm in a class recording. Okay, I'm really sorry. This is really not good. Well, Hashem has hidden the Sfas Emes from me for a very good reason, clearly. So what I remember of the Sfas Emes, Amar Rabbi Binyamin, Hakol b'cheskasumin ad shekadosh baruch hu me'aseh neim. Thank you, Amar Rabbi Binyamin, Hakol b'cheskasumin ad shekadosh baruch hu me'aseh neim. Amar Rabbi Binyamin, Hakol b'cheskasumin ad shekadosh baruch hu me'aseh neim. Amar Rabbi Binyamin, Hakol b'cheskasumin ad shekadosh baruch hu me'aseh neim. I give it one more shot because you wrote that and you reminded me. So maybe there's a chance I'll still be able to find it. Okay. I still don't see the Sfas Emes, and I think the Tircha de Tzibur is worse right now, keeping everybody waiting. So what I'm going to end with is just to say this, is the Sfas Emes says that Yiras Hashem is inherent to every one of us. It's inside us. The awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the knowledge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is within every one of us. And so whilst the Rambam says that the way to achieve the mitzvahs that we have to work on, such as Avas Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Devekas Hashem, is through contemplation, to arouse the feeling that the mitzvah is to busy ourselves with things that will arouse Ava and will arouse Yira. What the Sfas Emes says is that those things are intrinsic to who we are as part of our souls, that our souls have an intrinsic connection to the roimamus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that our souls know the roimamus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's something that is within us, that we don't have to input it from the outside, but that it's something inside ourselves. And that when we say the words, when we say words of tefillah, and we remind ourselves of it, we're activating actually what is already inside ourselves. That it's not lo b'shamayim hi, that Yiras Hashem, Avos Hashem, these things are not far away from us, but they are kikar v'lecha davar ma'ayid. It's very, very close to you. It's so close that it's within ourselves. It's a very part of who we are. So when we talk about, can I ask you, what formula can I use for a situation where I'm waiting for a person to complete something and it keeps being pushed off? What I would usually say is do it yourself or find someone else. Try not to rely on people who keep pushing things off. Even if they say they will, you could say, thank you so much, and I'm going to try, I'm just take care of it yourself in some other way. That's what I would say. So coming back to summarizing. Oh dear. Send a message with your lawyer. That's the next best thing. If she has something, send a message with a lawyer. That I'm going to begin, or I'm going to go to Boris with a Rav. I'm going to, if someone is not give the service that you need, then you can absolutely go to a Rav or go to a lawyer and stop telling them that you're going to go to a lawyer. Okay, that's what I would do. In summary, about taking Yiras Hashem and elevating it, because that's really what we're talking about today, is that how can we take a frightening situation and turn it into Yiras Hashem, because that's what Moshe tells us that we can do. Number one point today was you cannot get to Yiras Hashem without having some physical means. You can't get to Avos Hashem either without going through this physical world. As long as we're in the physical body, we cannot get to Avos Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Devekas Hashem, unless we have a physical means. And so we're talking specifically about Yiras Hashem. We cannot get to a level of awe of Hashem, to the royalness of Kodesh Baruch Hu, without going through fear in this world, without going some fearful experience. And so the fear we've gone through, whatever fear we've gone through in our lives, whether it's fear of a person, whether it's fear of terror, whether it's fear of whatever it is, that is our personal portal to elevate it up to the Yiras HaRoyalness of Hashem. And the way that the Rambam will go about doing this, the Rambam tells us to do it, is through contemplation, is to think about everything that has been going on and all of the hashgacha pratis that is revealed in every area of everything, and how people in the deepest pits found a Kodesh Baruch Hu there. And when we think about it, of and all that is orchestrating all of this. In it, what we can do is we can remind ourselves that the awe of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, that the knowledge of the greatness of a Kodesh Baruch Hu is inside us. We have within our soul a capacity to see beyond. The pasuk says, "Adam le'Elokim," I will liken myself to Kodesh Baruch Hu, and it's brought down by the Chachamim that the koach hadibyon, the power of the imagination, is a portal to coming close to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Animals don't have imagination. One of the unique characteristics of mankind is our imagination, that we can imagine a creator. When I say imagine a creator, I don't mean that we dream up something that doesn't exist. But this is something that Rav Pinchas says, is that we need to use our imagination to know a Kodesh Baruch Hu, because it's not something that we see with flesh and blood eyes. We don't see it. We have to use our imagination to put two and two together and say, that husband who offered me a trip right at that moment, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent it. And to put those two things together, you need to use your imagination to see the connection, to know that there's a connection between these two things. So we need to use our imagination to know that I have the imagination is an aspect of our soul, is an aspect of what exists within us, that the capacity that we have to think about, there is this one unifying force within everything, that all of these molecules and all of the pulses and the life force that's within everything. We need to have a brain and with an imagination in it, within our soul, to be able to figure this out and think about it. And that in and of itself, that thought process can bring us to know, I only know Kadosh Baruch Hu because of the soul that's within me. And so I make the connection. I'm so glad that you found that fascinating. Yes, because we didn't create ourselves. Everything that we feel, everything that we can think, everything that we could imagine, it only comes from the soul that Kadosh Baruch Hu has given us in order to be able to imagine HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's only through imagining, and again, that's what Rav Pinchas says this, we have to use our imagination to imagine. And again, we're using imagination in a very specific way. We're not saying imagine something that doesn't exist. Rav Pinchas said we have to use our imagination to imagine Hashem, who does exist, because we can't see him with our eyes. And so using our imagination to take this leap, it means it's only because we have the capacity within ourselves, that we have the yira, we have the capacity to imagine something completely awesome, and to be able to create this to envision within our mind's eye the Ribono Shel Olam and how everything is connected within everything, and to use everything within this world in order to come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when Rav Dessler said, when he was asked, what is the way to implement the things from our mind to our heart, which is this is what we're talking about, how to take the fear of what's in this world, and I want to now make it into an experiential fear of awe of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. How do I do this? When he was asked this, he said, Yesh eitz achas, there is only one way. He said, we have to take from this world things, and we have to use tzirei halev, pictures of the mind. What he means is the imagination. There's only one way, said Rav Dessler. The only way to do it is through using our imagination. And this is the way to take what exists in the real world and to use it as fodder for the imagination. So I remember people, when I was a child, I remember when I was about 12 or 13, someone saying that there will be a day when you'll sit in an office in one place and you can see people from around the world. And here we are. And we thought maybe they were dreaming, or maybe we thought it could be. But here we are. We can see people around the world. We can hear things from around the world. There is a pool of knowledge, okay? Not just that you can Google anything, but AI can now access the collective mind of the world. And I just heard from a professor of psychology, and she said that a professor of therapy. She said that AI is actually doing pretty good therapy for people. People who are speaking, teenagers around the world are going to AI for therapy. They're chatting with chat AI, and apparently they're having pretty good results. They're actually typing in things that coming up with good results, meaning that there's a mind, a universal mind of the world that people can access. It sounds like something from science fiction, but it's real. Okay, but we all know that it will never have a soul. It will never have a neshama, because the neshama is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, is the neshama within all of this. So if we could imagine the enormity of AI and how huge and massive AI is, and then take another leap from that and say, but a Kadosh Baruch Hu is the makom of AI. AI exists within a Kadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu exists way, 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 way above everything. Also, I was told AI will tell you what you want to hear and won't tell you that you're wrong. Yes, AI can make all kinds of mistakes, and I'm certainly I'm not telling people that you should go to AI for therapy. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying that the collective mind of the world has come up with so much that if we just take another leap and say, I have the capacity, someone dreamed up AI. Someone dreamed up this capacity. It was the imagination of mankind, the collective wisdom, collective experience of the nations of the world that came together to create such a thing. But Kadosh Baruch Hu is way beyond this. The wisdom, the planning, the power, the awesome power of a Kadosh Baruch Hu is way beyond this, and He is within each and every one of us. And every time we say Shema Yisrael, we say Shema because Shema. At some point, Rabosha said that we have to say Shema because we can only hear it. We cannot see in this world. So we cover our eyes when we say Shema Yisrael, because we have to listen carefully. Because if we listen, we will understand more than if we only rely on what our eyes can see. And we say Shema Yisrael. Yesh Shishim Riboy of Klal Yisrael, right? We have 600,000 members of Klal Yisrael. ISIS in the Torah. There are 600,000 letters of the Torah corresponding to every single member of Klal Yisrael, and every one of us is important. We all are in the Torah, every single one of us. We have to listen, and we have to know that every one of us is important to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that's just as much a part of Shema Yisrael as Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We have to know that every one of us is valuable and beloved to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that's awesome in and of itself. And when just thinking about that, and how our souls are connected to Kadosh Baruch Hu, this will hopefully can bring us to an experience of the awe of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, both from the intellectual capacity, that the more we think about it and reflect upon it, according to the Rambam, we will gain more about it. And when we realize that the capacity that we have to think, the soul that we have within us, we have that Yiras Shomayim, we have the capacity to hold the truth of the glory of a Kadosh Baruch Hu and the giant superpower, beyond superpower that is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that is planning everything and taking care of everything and running everything that exists in this world, that is the Ribono Shel Olam. But it's within ourselves, it's within each and every one of Klal Yisrael, that capacity to do that. Then it can connect that together, and Be'ez Hashem, we will be able to take that which is fearful to us, recognize that it's not coming to just to terrify us. It's coming to elevate us. It's coming to be the means through which, it's coming to be the portal through which we can reach a much deeper level. And the depth of the terror, the depth of the fear is here to show us that to that degree, we can achieve an awesome fear of Hashem. And I don't mean fear of the punishment, of the pain. I mean an awesome awareness of the awesome glory of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the deeper the fear, the deeper the terror and the horror, the deeper we can know that we can bring out within ourselves Yiras Shomayim. And it doesn't have to be now, today. It means Hashem is showing us, here's a portal. It's a door you can choose to walk through. You can bring out from yourself a greater level of Yiras Shomayim than you've been living with until now. You can do this. And that's part of what we all can take from what's been going on in the history of our nation over the last couple of years. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I apologize for taking some of your time in the middle, for not finding. If I find it, I will possibly add it as a separate recording, because I really hope I will find it, because the words of the Sfas Emes were very beautiful. Anybody want to share something, add something, unmute and speak up? Thank you. I love seeing your face. Anyone want to add something? Please go ahead and unmute if you'd like to.
Thanks so much, Hinda, for everything.
Great to hear you. Thank you so much for saying that.
I love these types of. I love when you get into like certain topics.
You love
more
when
so than
what?
other
I didn't
ones.
hear you.
I said I love when you get into certain topics more so than other ones.
Thank
some
you.
that are just so like it's like balm for the soul. Like, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's so grateful to see you all. So grateful to hear from you. Okay. Besaros Tovos, everybody. May we hear good news. Be'ez Hashem. Good Shabbos. Bye, everyone.